Ready for we'll move on to the no-huddle offense. You ready to take it down?
Yeah, let's do it.
Everything's been great so far. So again, we appreciate the time. We'll rapid fire through this, and then you can remind everybody, where to find you if they don't already follow you. So, first question on this one: who should go number one overall?
So I'm going to give a cop-out answer and say that I don't think it ultimately matters because I think all four guys that are in the debate are going to have fantastic years.
Me too. If you had to choose one, you're on the clock. Who is it?
I take Todd Gurley first overall, and I understand that people say, running backs don't typically repeat RB1 overall performances, but just the way they were using him in the passing game, I think is absolutely a dream come true. Though if I had to not take Gurley, I would probably take David Johnson.
There you go. Give us your most undervalued player at each position: QB, RB, wide receiver, and tight end.
Quarterback, it's Mitch Trubisky, but if I can't pick him, I'll take Blake Bortles.
Mm-hmm.
Running back, I'll go with Giovanni Bernard. Wide receiver, it's Kenny Stills, but Nelson Aguilar. That's who I'll go with because I'm trying not to repeat him.
I gotcha.
And I'll give you two at tight end. I think Gronk is the most underrated player at his position, despite the fact that he's tight end one off the board. I think he should be going about 8 picks higher than he is. But I think
give us a little Gronk love. I know you're huge on Gronk. I'm a New England fan. I want to hear this. I love this stuff. Come on now.
You look at Gronk and he had 18% target share last year, and he averaged 18.8 PPR points per game, or DraftKings points per game, I should say. And Brandon Cooks leaves 114 targets available. There's no Julian Edelman in the first 4 games of the year. I know everyone's all in on Chris Hogan, but if we're going to be completely honest, Chris Hogan's not this amazing receiver. Burkhead and Michelle are both banged up right now. We'll see what happens. And the offense should run through Gronk. I mean, we see a guy that we've seen him go for 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. That's well within his range of outcomes. And people don't draft him because they're scared he's going to get hurt. But he's played 14 or more games in 3 of the last 4 years. And it would be 15, but last year, he tried to kill Tre'Davious White. So and got suspended for that. But, I just think people are scared of Gronk injuries. But this is the most dominant player at a very thin position that can legit put up wide receiver 1 numbers. He can score more fantasy points than Michael Thomas or Julio Jones or Odell Beckham. He can do that. I mean, I think he ended up with 214 or 240 last year. I forget which number, one of those two. But obviously that's a big difference. But I just remember the 4s. Anyway, yeah. But I just think that, and he's always gone in the first round. And now you get him in the 2nd or 3rd round, and that's a league-winning pick to me if he doesn't get hurt. And I'll take my chances on that. And late round guy, I'll go Eric Ebron. I think he's going to pass Jack Doyle. I know everyone loves Jack Doyle. Doyle saw 108 targets last year and had 600 yards. He's not very good. He's a reliable underneath guy, but they talk about Eric Ebron splitting out wide, and they're going to get him involved and target him in big play games. We've seen Luck be able to support 2 tight ends before, and I think Ebron's, with his athletic upside, the fact that they target him in free agency, and the fact that Doyle is overrated, I think he could have a big year. So those are the guys I'm going to go with.
Absolutely. Great analysis there on all that, too. Love the Gronk pick. Most overvalued player at each quarterback. So same exact question, just overvalued.
Quarterback, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bold one, but it has nothing to do with the fact that I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the first overall quarterback. I just don't think he's a tier on his own. So often I'll see him go 3 rounds ahead of any other quarterback, and I think that's a mistake. Running back, I'll go with Chris Carson.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carson's new. I keep seeing him go in the 7th or 8th round, and I just think that I'd much rather Penny at the same range at this point. I understand that there's a report that Carson might be the bell cow. I'll believe that when I see it, that the 7th rounder is going to play all the snaps over the 1st rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver, Demaryius Thomas. The 4th round, I mean, I know everyone loves Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and Cortland Sutton, thinking that Royce Freeman and Jake Butt are also going to be fantastic guys. And I don't understand how it all works. Thomas's speed has kind of dropped off. I ultimately don't think that he's going to pay off the price tag similar to an Amari Cooper or Larry Fitzgerald kind of player. Tight end, I don't want to say Jack Doyle just because I ripped him, but I think David Njoku's the guy that I'm avoiding now. I was targeting him early in the offseason, but he had that big 2-touchdown preseason game, and people are now acting like he's a reliable guy, and they're overdrafting him based on that performance, and so I'm kind of avoiding him. I got a lot of shares early in the 12th, 13th round, but once he starts going in the 8th, I'm out.
Awesome. And especially on the Demaryius take, I can't stand Demaryius as well. What early round draft picks, so rounds 1 through 3, is going to ruin fantasy seasons?
I know you gave me this question in advance, and it's
a hard one. It is. It's tricky.
It's a tough question. I think I like Derrick Henry in the 4th round, but I've been seeing him go in the 2nd round in random drafts, and I think that's way too high. LaShawn McCoy, I think 1, he's in a bad situation to begin with, and 2, that suspension looming over his head. I think you're crazy if you take him in the 3rd round. I think Stephon Diggs has started to get people have gone a little too crazy on him, and creeping up at the top part of the 3rd round makes me a little bit nervous. And then I would say those are the 3. And then Leonard Fournette, if I had to pick one guy in the 1st round, is the guy that makes me most nervous with those legit ankle issues kind of recurring for 3 straight years now with that workload. I think that he's the guy that, if he stays healthy, could be fantastic, but is a legit injury risk with a deteriorating ankle that shows itself time and time again.
Absolutely. We call them penny stocks here, but most call them late round lottery tickets or flyers, whatever you want to use. Give us the 1 or 2 that you need to have this year.
So the guy I was getting everywhere was James Washington, but those days might be over. Chris Godwin's a guy I really like. Taywan Taylor is a guy I really like. And I'll throw in one running back out there. Darren Sproles in the last round of drafts. He could legit have that pass-catching role. We've seen him have big weeks before. And, people forget about him because he was hurt and he's old. But I still believe in his talent and his role on an explosive offense.
Awesome. And the single most important move fantasy owners can make in 2018 that'll bring them a title is?
Get a top 4 pick and draft one of those running backs.
Absolutely. I know I'm in an auction draft. I don't care what price it's going to take. I'm getting one of those top 4 no matter what I do. And so my co-host throws this one every time. And if your life depended on it, how many hot dogs and buns could you eat in 10 minutes?
If my life depended, so if you said an over/under number, my life depended on it, I think I could get the over. But too many is the correct answer. I've eaten too many hot dogs in 10 minutes when my life doesn't depend on it. But I would guess 15,
nice.
20, something like that.
All right, solid. And so let's wrap up with your boldest prediction for 2018 season, then just remind everybody where they can find you to interact.
So, my boldest prediction is that Gronk ends up as the number 1 overall pass catcher in terms of fantasy points this year. And if I already kind of went with that, I'll double down on Kenny Stills and say he finishes as a top 15 PPR wide receiver this year. And you guys can check me out on Twitter at Eliot Crist. Check out the Quant Edge at the Quant Edge or thequantedge.com, bringing you must-have DFS tools, wide receiver cornerback matchups, injury tool where you can see the impact every single player, offense and defense, has on his team and other fantasy-relevant players, head-to-head tool to help you make decisions, optimizer, premium chat, and over 20 articles and podcasts exclusive for members. And if you use promo code Eliot, ELIOT, it'll get you 15% off for the year. So make sure you check that out, guys.
Fantastic stuff. The site is fantastic as well. I'll double down on that. Make sure you check it out and use the code and get those tools because it all is great stuff. Eliot, thank you so much for joining today. And it's Saturday, burning this early morning oil with me. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Anytime, brother. I really appreciate it. This was a blast.